Okay, let's move to our next speaker, Guzalkhon Zakhidova. She's a graduate from the Andijan State Medical Institute and works as psychotherapist at the Republican Research Center for Medical Rehabilitation and Therapy in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. She has advanced expertise in Europe. Please, for now, just unmute you, mute your microphones. Guzalkhon has advanced specialties in neurology, psychiatry, narcology, and psychotherapy. With the solid project support, Guzalkhon is undertaking her PhD studies on psychosocial interventions for users of new psychoactive substances. And she will be talking today about evidence-based health interventions for youth using new psychoactive substances. Guzalkhon, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zakhidova. I am psychotherapist from Tashkent in Uzbekistan. Today, I will present about NPS use among young people in Uzbekistan and my research on psychosocial work. So why is this relevant? Because NPS might be cheaper than traditional drugs, and young people can buy them online, and NPS users think that NPS give them better quality higher. NPS use has increased. Based on the research that was done, we can say that the most popular NPS in Uzbekistan are methadone and alpha-PVP. And these substances are sold via darknet. We don't know how many people use NPS, and this might be related to social and cultural factors in the country. Also, a new form of NPS might be emerging every 2 weeks. That's why it is hard to monitor and control them. NPS distribution. This slide shows the NPS distribution in Uzbekistan. We have two main channels. First channels, instant messengers like Exasia and Azure. Second channel, trading platforms like Union and Hydra. As you can see, based on sales in Hydra NPS, such as methadone, alpha-PVP, spice, are the most popular in the country. They are mostly imported from Kazakhstan. This slide sells in Hydra 2020 for 5 months. Why has the use of NPS increased? It is easy for young people to buy NPS online. NPS producers make money easily selling NPS while having less legal risk. And designer drugs may go unnoticed in routine drug screening. And this information from literature review in the world. The reason and motives for using NPS based on literature review. The reasons and motives for using NPS based on literature review. We think the young NPS users in Uzbekistan have similar reasons and motives. We will confirm this during our research, and these reasons: low awareness of the harmful effects of NPS, socialization process, influence of friends, recreational pleasure, desire to get higher, availability and accessibility, potential and quality, costs, cognitive enhancement, legal status. Motives can vary widely among NPS users due to the social cultural differences of the countries. Social cultural factors in Uzbekistan. When we talk about NPS use among young people in Uzbekistan, we need to consider social cultural factors such as religion, family setting, gender roles, socialization, and financial status. Young people don't have good paying job and they have financial dependence to their parents that might create stress. Young people might try best to socialize and join to cool group and to mimic their rich peers. Traditional and conservative family structure might play a role, and family discussion on NPS use is not common. Negative effects of NPS, it's slide from literature review. NPS use has serious health risks for young people compared with the adults. For example, epileptic seizures, loss of consciousness, psychopathological disorders, and other problems. And finally, NPS users might likely die from polydrug use. Preventive measures in Uzbekistan. Here we show the preventive measures taken in Uzbekistan. There have been various different measures taken by government. TV and radio channels show social advertisement videos and anti-drug programs, while articles were published in print media to raise awareness. There have been sporting events as well, but effectiveness of these measures haven't been assessed. And preventive measures in the world. Sporting events and mass media campaigns weren't that effective. We know about, and in Kazakhstan, an intervention with family was found as potentially beneficial. It's very well in Kazakhstan about family intervention. New Zealand allowed some NPS for recreational use. This example interesting for us, and I think for other people too. Milian recommended using social network to raise awareness of the dangers of the NPS use. School-based programs were helpful on reducing students' cannabis use. This might be potentially useful for NPS use prevention. Overall effectiveness needs to be properly evaluated when implementing preventive programs interventions. The need to publish a research article on NPS use in Uzbekistan. We don't know numbers of users, their motivation, their awareness of the harm. We have gaps in understanding psychosocial and health needs of NPS users, how they need to be reached, what kind of intervention are needed. We need to develop a new intervention based on psychosocial work, as the existing therapies were ineffective for NPS users. The goal is to develop a theory and evidence-based psychosocial health intervention to decrease negative effects of NPS. We want to answer these questions. And this research study aims to answer the following questions. How did the NPS users start taking drugs and how often do they consume? Second, what are the NPS users' needs? Next, what are their reasons and motivations for the NPS usage? Next, where do they buy, get NPS? And what is their level of awareness of the potential harms of NPS usage, health, psychosocial life, etc. Is there any super service available for the NPS users, and how far are the NPS users aware of them? It is very important to provide more psychosocial and psychotherapeutic treatments for NPS users, as they seem to be more effective than medical treatments based on WHO standards. We will assess how much role the social work and non-government organization could play in addressing the issues related with NPS use. And we plan to publish academic research papers on NPS use in Uzbekistan, in Russian and Uzbek languages. That's all, thanks. Thank you very much for your attention. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Guzalkhon, for this overview. Let us kick off with the discussion. I think what was also especially interesting for me in your presentation was the aspect of sociocultural understandings of NPS use specific to regions, and we could also talk about what it means within the context of Uzbekistan, for example. Maybe have some examples from the practice of, because you're also working as a doctor, and this could be something that is related to your daily practice and so on. We have a few minutes for discussion, and if someone has also questions to Professor Overta, you can also ask it now or write in the chat. Just feel free to jump in.
Let me have a short statement on this. Thank you very much, Guzalkhon, because you have been the first one of our presenters who talked about psychosocial support in this field and the role of social work, because our project is working on the role of social work in these kinds of interventions and also psychosocial support. And as I mentioned, there are only very few methods or very few guidelines on this. I mentioned this Neptune program. We should discuss how we can use this also in countries like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan as well, and Kyrgyzstan. You mentioned a little bit the psychosocial or socio-cultural background, and it's quite different from that one in Europe. The role of families might be different in your country. And so far, I'm very happy that you will do it in your research work to get more answers to these very important questions, because we are also, and I would like also maybe to continue with our discussion also with European experts in the field of prevention and treatment, because there's still very few information on this.
Sounds good. Thank you. I think I try
improve, develop.
Yes, I try to develop this method, and maybe psychosocial work in the Uzbekistan help for other country in psychosocial life. And I think this problem very important, because we have old methods for treatment these patients, and we need new methods, psychosocial methods, because we don't have other methods. And today I had a very interesting method in present in the German and the Norway and other country. And Prilutskaya tell about interesting research in the Kazakhstan, and I think we should develop this method in the Uzbekistan too.
And another very important issue is we organized this webinar because we have been informed by our experts in Central Asia and also in China that there is a development, a decrease of using opioids traditionally used in Central Asian countries, but also in China. And normally, you know, you get quite good quality of heroin from Afghanistan, better quality than in Germany, at least. And quite, yeah. And why did this attitude change? It's a very interesting question. Why so many users of traditionally users of opioids now changing their attitudes, now using NPS? And what is the difference of the effects? And that is a very important question to discuss.
Thank you.
If you let me to add some words on this, Ingo, and yes, you know, we are calling ourselves experts here in this webinar, but I'm more humble about our expertise regarding the NPS. We are investigators, but not experts yet. The experts are those who are making these drugs. Experts are those who are using these drugs, but not us. For at least for now, and we are learning from them. As it happens all the time with new drugs, we learn from our patients. So, and unfortunately, in our context, very few data exist on epidemiology of NPS. And we are just seeing in our neighborhood, in streets, in internet, we are seeing the ads which offer to purchase NPS, methadone, catinones, and other types of NPS. But these are just anecdotal data. There was no research done until now, and Guzalkhon is, I think, is the first one who is approaching the problem both from epidemiological perspective and from the psychosocial point of view. How to help the people, and going back to your question, why this shift has emerged in our context in Uzbekistan, in China, and to some extent in Kazakhstan. And I think for Uzbekistan, it is because the restrictions that were imposed in Uzbekistan on borders, and the opioids, which were most popular drug 10 years ago, now they are literally unavailable. And at the same time, many drug users who used opioids, many of them have died. Many drug users, opioid-dependent people, they switch to alcohol. And but we have a younger generation who came to the scene, and they also have their own needs for these kind of new experiences to get high. And the market offered this NPS because, as colleagues earlier presenting here during the webinar said that some of these drugs were readily available in the over-the-counter in different shops, and these were very cheap. until 5 years ago, they were not controlled at all. So people started experimenting it, and then the pipe was closed, and now they are not readily available for cheap prices, but with darknet and the penetration of internet into the every family, to the society, the promotion of drugs, and also establishing connections between sellers and the consumers became much easier. And those who are more progressive in this are younger generation, and the younger generation are the main target and main population who are using these new psychoactive drugs. And these are people in most cases under their 30s. So I'm not sure about the China. Maybe colleagues from China would contribute to the question, but it is a reality of Uzbekistan.